If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping.
Those of us who break his commandments will regret and suffer in remorse and pain. God will not be mocked.
During his press conference, Governor Spencer Cox also detailed more of his plan to help the Trump administration with deportations of illegal immigrants. The governor announced his proposal a couple of weeks ago, but he told reporters today it will focus on those who commit crimes. Illegal immigration itself is a crime, but he suggested it would not be solely for that.
We're going to start with criminals, people who are breaking the law and causing harm to Utahns and to Americans.
Camps created during World War II. After the bombings of Pearl Harbor, the existing tensions against Asian immigrants that was there for a long time came to a zenith, and Franklin D. Roosevelt created Executive Order 9066, which required the deportation of Japanese ancestry Americans to places such as this. They were torn from their homes and businesses at gunpoint and brought to foreign locations throughout the Southwest to protect the United States against the Japanese menace.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So if there's no nuclear attack for the holidays, either Christmas or New Year's, in case you haven't followed me, the church is going to nuke everybody. You thought they were true. Yeah, they're true evil. You didn't run the tests, so you got conned. The consequences of being conned is death. Should have read your Book of Mormon. Told you all about it. Is that if nothing happens, I'll be able to get some more stuff next month. Got Blue Bloods that I'm now starting. The final season. So that completes my collection. And they're already starting it off. Those immigrants being bused to New York. People don't realize the danger that's coming. The danger that happened today. People are not aware of consequences, I guess. Everybody wants to be in denial of consequences. Deep state Dems keep getting shocked at the consequences of allowing Trump a foothold. What? We didn't know this would happen. Trump lied? It's like they've got amnesia. Is it just because they don't have anything else in the news to talk about? Dear God. So if I can make this as quick as possible, I can get back to the episode, sleep my life away. So I see the Mormon employees working the night shift. On the night shift. It's an idea for a theme song in the description below. Although, nope, Paris is burning. Nope, nope. I almost forgot. It's on the list. It would really be nice if YouTube employees get 2 weeks off. I was hoping that I might be able to start the porn tomorrow night on YouTube. YouTube's just flooded with porn. They don't want anybody to see it. So, yeah, this is a basic scriptural precept. Not the porn, but that the word is to be likened unto a seed. And Microsoft sucks. Aren't you guys supposed to also be selling off something, your search engine? Or can we get you guys to sell your basic computer app package? I remember in the beginning, this used to work great. Now it sucks. Now it sucks. Upgrades are supposed to improve systems, and they don't. They just get worse every time. And we're just supposed to take it up the bleep. As they tell us, bleep you, customers. That's what the Teamsters are telling the picketers to do to Amazon customers. Because it's not hurting Bezos. Just hurt the customers. But you let a gang operate a system, and that's what you get. Right, Mormons? If you're not going to check the church, you have to be responsible for the consequences. They betrayed you. I've been trying to tell you for years. The abuse they did to me, you guys don't know about. And so you ignore me at your own risk. You deny and lie to my face at your own risk. Because Governor Cox is kicking out apostates for Christmas. It's actually, he rolled out his plan to deport people. And he says he's not going to deport immigrants. Trump's going to have something to say about that, Cox. Don't think you can sneak past Trump. He's planning on going after criminals, deporting criminals. We all know what criminals means here in the state of Utah. Apostates, anti-Mormons, Korihors. What was my little phrase that I was always doing? Anti-Mormon, anti-Christ, apostate, Korihors. Yep, they're the first to go. And Cox said so. Because he said, illegal immigration is an issue. Well, yeah, it's a crime. As the executive, you're supposed to kick out illegals. Now, if they are legally in the state of Utah waiting for the process for citizenship, that's another thing. Fox tends to get confused on due process that Congress established for immigration. It is Congress's responsibility. And yet Congress always tries to pass the buck to the Democrat president. What is that? It's almost like they let the Venezuelan gang into the United States to cause the problems, to use that as an excuse to blame Biden. But, I don't know. So, Putin has now threatened the West with his brand new missile that the test run on Ukraine worked so well. He's now boldly declaring nobody can stop it. Nobody has the technology to stop it. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up being the weapon against us on Christmas. But I do not see Putin actually shooting it. Little rocket man, I see shooting it. And here's why. See, Kim Jong-un sent troops to Ukraine. Do you not think he got something in return from Putin? When the church, Nelson, gets up at the pulpit of conference and says, in a major city, it's been determined in Russia. Oh, wait, that was Shanghai that he was crying over. 2020, Shanghai. What did he get in return for that? What did he get in return for Russia? Well, Russia, we know, was $32 billion. So yes, little rocket man got something. And that's what he's always doing, is testing rockets to threaten America with. Even though he keeps talking about wanting to go in and take over South Korea, which has just gone through chaos. Chaos. With the Mormon in the judicial Supreme Court. So yeah, churches everywhere, and everybody's being prostituted in this church. And you don't see it because you have no clue what a crime is. You got women who are being sex trafficked in Blue Bloods in the season premiere of the first episode, for the countdown to the end. And yet that's exactly what Mormons are doing. But because it's not in the same way, nobody sees it as a crime. Nobody understands that it follows the letter of the law as a violation. But anyway, so Paris Hilton, that's why the church did their little church news thing, and I exposed it. But Paris Hilton has been battling in Congress to stop the abuse of treatment centers. She being abused yet again by a Utah treatment center. And as a result, the church orders the press to ignore the abuse by psychologists so that the church can keep their family services running, which has been abusing people. Was it Kenzie? It's been a while since I've talked about her. She has a YouTube channel where she talked about it, and she says that as a young teen girl, she was sexually abused by a married priesthood holder, and when she went to report it, nobody did anything about it. She was silenced. The guy got away with it. And so when she was 21, because I don't think she was 19, maybe she was, because Monson changed it, but she wanted to go on a mission. She's now an adult. And so in the bishop's interview, Bishop asks, is there anything that you need to confess that you haven't confessed with proper authority? And she brought up the sexual abuse when she was a teen girl. And it's a crime. There are people still getting arrested for it here in the state of Utah. Can't abuse people. And the bishop panicked and freaked out, called the super sacred secret hotline to family services, and he sent her to them for evaluation, and obviously she can't go on a mission. She's mentally retarded now. And so they got her on drugs. They claim she's depressed. The mental retardation of depression. That's the most common diagnosis the psychologists give to Utah Mormon women, so that the pharmaceutical company can majorly profit off of the depression drugs that shorten the lifespan of Utah Mormon women. You need to smile and take it. And if you don't, you're an apostate who's going to get booted out by Governor Cox. You know they're kicking out apostates. You know I'm going to be the target. The church is pure evil. They had their final meeting today. They're taking the next 2 weeks off. Yeah. And they're expecting that Utah and other locations, DC, will be nuked. So that after the chaos in America, the church can come back and run supreme over everybody, claiming they own the land. And so it's not about being conservative with expenditures, because if the church went green and did solar panel on all of their buildings around the world, they would be saving millions of dollars a year. You know, maybe it's just because they're evil, and evil is dumb. You know, I was able to walk in to Beehive Warehouse, fix their problem, and save them millions of dollars, and do exactly what they were wanting to transfer everything over to the distribution warehouse. And they saw me as a miracle worker, and then they got rid of me because I'm a miracle worker. I must be a prophet. Only Nelson can be a prophet. Or actually, it was 2000, so that was Hinckley. Only Hinckley can be the miracle worker. Hinckley didn't give us a revelation on how to fix the situation. You can't do it, Travis. So since you did it, you're out. We can't have intelligence. The glory of apostates is intelligence. When they're intelligent, they think they are wise, and they hearken not unto the counsel of false prophets. Don't want this to go too long. If it goes too long, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. And so, yeah, we're done. America is going down in flames. And so, yeah, the stocks were flat today. I kind of laughed over the $15. That means that there were some people who were small fish who saw this massive stock sell-off and went, buy low, sell high. And so they tried to get in on the low stocks. You're just feeding the big fish who are going to take it from you and say thank you. And the big fish is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We all know this because they're the ones pulling out their stocks. Because something big is coming. If it doesn't, on January 3rd, because the last day of Hanukkah and the quadranted meteor showers of Revelation chapter 12 verse 4 is over. So that's that. And I see on the screen that I should have paid attention. Stanford is asking for my thoughts. So great, now I have to do this video tomorrow. I don't have another video to do for you for tomorrow, so might as well be this one. It's gonna be so cool. So cool. It'll be perfect. The perfect video. Nobody will watch it because YouTube is a terrorist organization supporting the terrorist organization called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then Trump is going to put Matt Gaetz in charge of Google search and social media search. And we'll have child porn all over the internet. You thought it was bad that the church is prostituting and sex trafficking 11-year-old girls now for polygamy. Which actually is worse. Gates ain't got nothing on this church. Dear God, we're all dead. So yeah, if the fall and the transfer does not happen, there is no Zion. Because if those two don't happen and destruction happens one way or another, whenever, nobody's going to believe me. YouTube's keeping me suppressed so that nobody finds out about me. If YouTube were to let go of their stranglehold on my video views, I would have easily hundreds of views per hour. Because my content is unique, it's something they're not hearing anywhere else, and there are just too many looky-loos that are out there wanting to see what's up. And there are people who are curious, but for the most part, because YouTube doesn't recommend my channel, people don't bother to follow me. Whatever YouTube tells them to watch. And so when Gates takes over, yeah, YouTube will recommend all the child porn videos for you. And not just the nudity, it's going to be the sex. That's what... I can do hours of videos. I guess I'm old now. But yeah, Putin uses his women as honeypots to compromise men. See, they teach their women in sex ed. Whether they teach the men sex ed, that doesn't seem to be the case. If you teach sex ed, people will know how they function and they can prepare themselves in the company of others. But if you keep people stupid, you end up with sexual abuse by Mormons. And so, yeah, it's even sadder. They are showing the picture of the family that the father murdered everybody. And that just adds to the sorrow of that, because Cox is going to deport him anyway, regardless of whether he lost his job for an eye medical condition. Just so sad. Mormon family, the neighbors all thought they were nice. I didn't realize Mormons could be evil. Neither did I until I moved to Utah. Neither did I. Although Canada was weird. They had the teenagers that were spray painting the satanic symbols all over the place. They're in McGrath. And so, yeah, I'm very well aware of the underground that was there. And then, of course, after the first mother divorces her husband, that triggered a whole wave of divorces in McGrath. Everybody was doing it. It was the cool thing to do. And it just shook up the town. A little Mormon town rocked because of my mother-in-law, who's now an ex. And then, yeah, that was because she was born and raised Mormon, even though she came from Texas. She knows nothing of sex ed because she's Mormon. And she knows nothing of the ways of the world. Why men work for the weekend. You know, she's like Pink. She doesn't understand why men go to the bar on the weekend. It's you and your hand tonight. Pink. Quit being abusive. You know that that's why they were there, and so why did you go there? It's like Hamas bombing Israel, and then when Israel fights back for their survival, you then blame Israel for attacking you. But that's how the church sets up Mormons, to abuse each other. And the church says you're helping people keep the covenant path. All right. So, yeah, I have already decided we'll put this up tomorrow. I want to get through this episode first. A lot more traffic lately. What's up with that? What's up with that? Hey, Travis. The Mormon Closed Mind. I think you're not wanting this thoughts. Just Daniel's vision on idolatry. No, it's the whole thing. Yeah, idolatry. And you talk about idolatry. The Mormon Closed Mind, I think, is the putrid fruit of the seed of idolatry. Yeah. See, the way it works is, as babies, we know nothing. We're a blank slate in our brains. And so our first inputting into our brains is what our five senses experience. And so when we're hungry, we cry. When we wet ourselves, we cry. When we're not being held, we cry. When we're not being freed, we cry. We're taken out for a walk and the sun blinds us for the rest of our lives to have to wear contact lenses or glasses. We cry. And when we touch the fire, we cry. And so yes, these are traumatic events for a baby, because the baby doesn't understand what's going on. It's all new to them, and things hurt, and things are uncomfortable, and loneliness, and all this really traumatizes babies. And so, yeah, I'm well aware of the Utah and who killed 2 boys, and then women who murdered babies here in Utah also. And so, yeah, parents need to realize that the kid is going to produce the consequences of what they experience as a baby. My mom would always talk about how I was a happy kid as a baby. You know, I was really excited about life, and I was growing like weeds. And at 7 months old, I was running, and everybody thought I was a toddler at 2 years old. And then Todd was born. And my mom doesn't seem to she never made the connection, even though she knows she had to take care of Todd because he had colic. And so my mom sat me in front of the TV to be educated by Sesame Street and learn how to use associative memory to avoid memorizing for school. Seems like a waste of time. We get textbooks, we have to memorize them and regurgitate them on tests. That's stupid. And then we have to give back the textbook at the end of the year. We don't get to keep it as a reference book so that we don't have to memorize. Well, that sounds stupid. And you know, when calculators first gets invented, we're not allowed to use them in class because that's cheating. One plus 1 equals 57. Huh? The new AI algorithm calculators, on sale now by Apple. Sponsored by YouTube. And Matt Gates. The FBI let him go. They let him go. He was interviewed by them, and they let him go. And it's just, dear God. If our federal government's not going to do their job, we're all doomed. We have a constitution for a reason, and no, it's destroyed. It's gone. America is burning down in flames. And so that's all the news is the latest flame that's blown up America. And so, yeah, this is the spiritual burning. So then we're going to have the physical burning for Christmas to show those Western dogs, heathens. And so once we begin to communicate, it's important that kids be correctly taught to communicate. At first, it's a baby language, it's simple, it's basic, and parents tend to forget that as they want to speak as adults to their toddlers who are learning to speak. And parents don't realize they got to dumb it down for the kids. Basic. Noun, verb, noun. In order for the kid to learn the language properly and to be able to communicate back. Because otherwise they turn into terrible twos. Because they're not able to understand what you're saying because you're contradictory. And they can't communicate what they need to communicate with you. And so you don't understand what it is they're doing, and they get frustrated and then they cry. That was the easiest 4 years of my life, raising 2 kids, until she took the 3 away. It was not complicated. But yeah, she thought that since she had to raise her siblings, because her mom was always out working, that she needed to be given a break from raising kids in her own family, just like her mommy did. And so I had to raise them. It was easy. Although I had to realize some things, because again, you have to be with them all the time to communicate and educate them. Otherwise, they can do things that they don't understand they shouldn't be doing, and they do them. You know, like taking grandma's doilies that were given as a gift and using them as dirt rags. Or taking the crayons and decorating the walls. Oh my God. Good times. And then keeping the kids safe. That is heart-wrenching. Extremely stressful. So yeah, once the baby learns to crawl, you got to be on constant guard. Lock them up in a padded room. Oh dear God. And so, yeah, this is where miseducation, redefining of words, lying, causes damage to children's brains. And so the misinterpretation, you know, with using a different interpretation on the Jewish scriptures, calling them Christian, and saying that Jesus, which is a Jewish character, not the name of their Christ, and is a type and shadow of a future Christ for the latter days, and yet Christians now say he was a literal history character. And so Christianity is anti-science. That includes history. They're rewriting history, revisionist history. That's what Constantine did with the First Creed. And so you still see it today. Christians have destroyed America, along with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in imposing literal history Bible into science. And then you combine that with the nuclear fusion of psychology into the classrooms, into the science fields, and you've got a recipe for disaster. All sorts of spiritual nukes going off in this nation, as nobody even realizes. We're not supposed to have party government. But Thomas Jefferson ruined it for everybody, and the consequences are the destruction of America. Founding fathers sabotaged America with the first party government. Constitutional republic, not a socialist republic called communism. And it's funny, Fox only calls the Dems commies if they're not calling them socialists or Marxists. They have no clue what each three are distinct from. And yet, dear God, MAGA is a communist party group, just like Hitler was a part of a communist party group. And then once he took office, he turned it into fascism. Nobody sees that coming. I mean, you've got Musk and Miller, who are neo-Nazis. And one of them's being put in charge of the border, as well as every state in the Union. Cox is way out of his league. He's too Mormon to realize what the church has set him up for. Trump will have no problems executing Cox. And the church won't stop him. He's just way out of his league. He was a descendant of the Danite who framed and blamed Joseph, had him murdered. But being born and raised Mormon, he's clueless. You know, he's loyal to the church. Whatever the church tells him to do, he's a good old boy. But he's clueless, like my brother. My brother learned the hard way. My brother works for the church. The Strengthened Church Members Committee threatened my brother to shut me down, to financially punish me and silence me. And so my brother had to pay $2,000 of his own money from the church to get a lawyer to commit crime against me because the church ordered it. And the lawyer apparently ain't very good at their jobs, because I had to remind them, excuse me, my brother told you what, and you didn't do what to protect your client? And so, did I give the money back? No. My brother failed the church's orders. And so as punishment, he's out $2,000. And has to go in hiding for utter humiliation. And so the church, because he failed, he will be demoted in his job in some form or fashion. He will not be given trusts. They can't trust him anymore because he's a failure. Mr. PhD, valedictorian at both high school and BYU, and he's a failure. Because he went up against his big brother. Duh. And so, yes, there was a sign in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth at the same time. Right, Fox News? Yeah, the two together. Hilarious. And I can't get Mormons to listen. They don't want to believe it. Joseph Smith is wrong. It's witchcraft. It's prophecy and revelation. Mormons don't believe. Mormons don't believe. And so, yeah, this is where the problems come from. Idolatry is a part of the misinformation, but is a specific consequence of the word, in which the word that is misinformed to people is that objects have moral, spiritual, ethical powers, and that they can bestow that onto other people. So Oaks, perfect example, women are porn. He's talking about images. And in the other clip that I have, I bring that up, where he says, images. And he tries to clarify, that images that are, debasing or degrading, whatever word he uses. No, he's talking images. And he's ascribing to images a morality or spirituality to them. Whether good or bad, right or wrong, true or false, righteous or wicked. It's just an idol. It has no powers. People who say that there's such a thing as bad words, you can't say them. YouTube will flag your video and pull it down. unless it's Matt Gates' channel. But there's no such thing as a bad word. And yet our society is so in bondage to Christianity, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for Utahns, that literally, I mean, Sweet Maudie told me, and I was testing her to find out, is she serious? Because I had said sex in conversation with her, not talking about having sex with her, just sex. And sweet little Maudie, eyes popped up wide. Oh, you can't say that word. What? It's a 4-letter word. Sex? Yeah. 4 letters. Yeah. Sex. S-E-X is 4 letters. Yes. What? And the commenter on the video of the rabbi, you know, this is a Jewish thing, but not for God. It's usually for other words, but he wouldn't use O in God. And I've had lots of Mormons who always condemn me for using the name of God in vain. It's not the name God, name of God. And Mormon apologists screw this up with the facsimile number 1, because they keep looking for the God Elkanah, the God Mamakra, the God Libna, the God of Pharaoh, the God Pharaoh, and trying to apologize for why they can't find them. Hello, of changes the meaning of the word, sentence, the phrase, or whatever. It's like they never went to grammar school. And so likewise, the church is able to pull this con on Mormons, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that's not the name of the church. There is no church. C-O-P. That's the name of the corporation. Corporation of the President. That's it. It's a corporation. And so, how does the corporation make money? Well, those who were of the now dissolved Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that was incorporated by Brigham Young in 1852 are the cash cows for this corporation. Heber J. Grant pulled a fast one on Mormons, and it was filed with the state of Utah, but Mormons don't get access to it because they didn't have the Freedom of Information Act back then. Mormons thought that the church had never been taken from the face of the earth by the United States of America because the prophets said it wasn't. Grover Cleveland pardoned them only for polygamy. And then they still kept practicing polygamy. It was for the Perpetual Immigration Fund. And that's why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints also got dissolved as a criminal organization. But the prophets never told the Mormons this. So, yeah, this is where idolatry comes from. And I've written a whole book on it. It's published. Don't buy it. I need to update it. I mean, it's been 25 years since I assembled it, because it all came from my childhood growing up in the church. We'd go to church and there would be flyers handed out. And so I took the opportunity to work on my cartooning talents. Dad threw it all away. But nonetheless, as I would hear somebody talk at the pulpit in Sunday school, in priesthood, or in primary. I would write what got my attention on the sacrament meeting paper, flyer. And when I got home, stuck it in the box that my mom gave me, and it was gone by the time I was in the 2000s when I started going through them, because it was a massive pile, about 2 feet high, of individual papers. And I just went through them one by one and sorted them into piles as I had my computer there to input some of the stuff, and realized that I had enough to write Philosophy of Mormonism and even do subcategories of Philosophy of Mormonism, like Mormon illiteracy, study manual, and other stuff like that. Answers to still ask Mormon questions. Well, and so, yeah, those all need to be upgraded, updated with extra information and material, so don't buy any of the stuff that I published. Don't give Bezos the money. You ain't gonna get your package anyway, I guess. The Teamsters are on strike in 7 centers. And so, yeah, it's not information that's wrong directly. It's anything that tells you that an object has some kind of moral, spiritual, ethical powers. And when you got Catholics, you know, they make the best Hollywood movies with idolatry. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's End of Days, awesome. None of it is true. None of it will ever be true, but great movie. All based on the idolatry of Catholicism. And so then you've got the evangelical guy who did the movie series Left Behind, who is also the CEO of, or on the membership listing at least, of the Council for National Policy, which is a secret combination that the church is working through to destroy the United States of America. Because of the members in there, you can trace them to how they were playing their role to destroy America and the Constitution. Steve Bannon is in there, and now Steve Bannon is back at it again now that he's out of prison, talking about giving Trump a 3rd term. Trump's going to declare himself king, Bannon. I mean, seriously? You're not paying attention? Are you trying to deceive people? Why not say Trump can become king? I'm surprised Trump hasn't done that already. He did it before when he was visiting Xi in China. Or talking about him becoming emperor. I want to be emperor too. It's not fair. So yeah, when he comes out and says, Constitution says I can do whatever I want. That's what he's talking about. And so yeah, the Book of Mormon makes it very clear he does not become king. And so yeah, Christmas or New Year's for the nukes. But if it doesn't happen, I'm calling it quits, because there is no fruit. There is no fall, there is no transfer of authority, and so I can't do the Exodus and the building of Zion. The tree has been slaughtered, and so I'm helpless. And so there's no reason to continue on doing videos for you guys, even though, yeah, I can talk about anything because of the knowledge that I have, but YouTube's shutting me down. The church will have won, And if Nelson happens to die, Oakes is just going to take over. That's not the fall of the church. Fall of the church means it's dissolved, just like it was in 1887 under the Edmunds-Tucker Act. That's the fall. And instead of allowing a religious people to continue, you gotta have it all stopped, transferred to me. Because I know how to fix the problems, but nobody wants to let me fix the problems because they kick me out after I fix them. And seriously, the former supervisor, when I got transferred over to the distribution center too, as to how well I did, he came to me and said, yeah, I heard you fixed the warehouse. And yeah. And everybody's talking about how incredible that was that you were able to do that. Yeah. Just be careful that you don't do it too well. He was threatening me as the reason for the church's purposeful failures. To purposely leave a system faulty so that it can continue to maintain people's jobs. It's the church. Nobody's going to get laid off. Only if you're an apostate, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ, Korihor. And so, that's why our products aren't the best quality products. When every upgrade keeps making things worse, is because that keeps them in business. That they have to keep making upgrades over and over again so that they can stay employed. Rather than doing it one time, works for the rest of your life, like the '69 Ford truck. Gotta do away with that. Hey, they got a great idea. How about the Pinto? Thank you for giving my dad a job as a result, as a consequence, moving us to Michigan. Thanks to the reporter who exposed it all and then became Christian. He brought down Ford Motor Company and then turned Christian to ruin his life. So no retaliation against him needed. He did it to himself. So, anything else to bring up and mention? But consequences. If you're going to teach your kid that it's okay to lie, the kid's going to grow up being a liar. If you teach your kid to be kind to other people, they're going to grow up to be kind to other people. You know, the proverb, I think it is, raise a child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they won't depart from it. You know, this church wants to claim that it was one of the prophet presidents who said it. No, it's from Proverbs. He stole it. Claimed copyright. Still pisses me off. 3 times now YouTube has pulled that stunt on me. And they never learn. They never learn. They won't fix the problem. They won't go to the guy and say, hey, this isn't your copyright. You can't claim the copyright for this. We're not going to have a copyright violation for other people because you don't own the copyright. Dear God. it's a Mormon involved, so Mormon wants to hurt me. And so I'm being punished now with low views than the normal low views because of it. So yeah, if you teach Mormons that Jesus is telling you to do things, and that Jesus is perfect, he's a God of love, and so when Jesus tells you in your spiritual witness mind that other people being wicked need to have their agency taken from them with murder, you don't see anything wrong with it. When President Nelson tells you to hurt your brother, you don't see anything wrong with it. And you leak the crime to other people, like a lawyer. And the lawyer, being born and raised Mormon, even though they went to law school, most likely at BYU, with psychology, they don't see the crime. And so you've got our whole legislature, Governor Cox, all governors, and the judicial officers, all Mormon, and they're clueless what a crime is. And so their crimes are based on idolatry. Possession of porn, lock them up, electric chair. And so you have the church wanting to get a blacklist on the internet of those who go to undesirable channels for only apostates to go to. We need to find out what Mormons are viewing, which porn sites they're a part of, and what videos they watch on those porn sites. And again, I refer you to Russia. That's what the honeypots are for. They go and get the guys compromised sexually, and then they have the recordings that are illegally placed in the homes, and then used as blackmail to extort the various Russians to do what they want them to do. And so thus the P-tape, if you remember that. Probably not. You love Trump and you voted for him all 3 times. You never read his books. You never heard him at his rallies. You just told he's the Republican candidate. Oh, that's what the church wants me to vote for. I guess I got to do it. He did see Nelson and Irene at the Welfare Square. Because the church is true, and we're going to convert him. He's going to become a Mormon. Mormons, stop it. And so, yeah, this is why everybody's criminal in the church. This is why this whole valley is just full of criminal operations. Prostitution, sex trafficking, theft, murder, lying. And that's just in the church. But it carries over into the economy. It carries over into the society. And too many people are innocent victims of this abuse. Like Kenzie, or whatever her name was. Just a little girl, born and raised Mormon, and sexually abused. And everybody tries to cover it up and tell her that she's mentally retarded. And it never happened. And all the rapes of Mormon women here in this valley, dear God, lives ruined as I see them. See the women who are all alone with children. Born and raised Mormon, they get raped, and now they're ostracized. They're the bad people. They were a slut. They deserve what they got. So now we've got to punish them like Korihors. until they get trampled underfoot by horses or tracks. But that's how, he didn't know that's how he died. People refuse to give him food assistance as he's homeless, begging for food. Left to die. And it was the Zoramites, I think, wasn't it? I may be mixing stories up, but it's in the Book of Mormon. Trust me. I mean, we can look it up. This is tomorrow's video. It's only 9. Oh, God. It'll be up till 10. Trampled. Die. Nope. It's only 17. So, Mosiah. And he trampleth under his feet the commandments of God? No. Trample under your feet. Trample the Holy One under your feet. Yeah, Mormons do that. Transgress the laws of God. You trample them. Altered and trampled. No, it's not trampled. Trampled under their feet. Trampled under their feet. Let's see. Korihors. We'll go to the last one. Now it came to pass after the end of Korihor. Okay. Alma 30. Korihor did go about from house to house, begging food for his support. And it came to pass that he went forth among the people, yea, among the people who had separated themselves from the Nephites, and they called themselves the Zoramites. Thank you. Thank you very much. He had been led by a man whose name was Oram. And it came to pass he went forth among them. Behold, he was run upon and trodden down, even until he was dead. Thus we see the end of him who perverteth the ways of the Lord. So that's how Mormons see it. That's how they do the abuse to me. Right there. I go and say, hey, Joseph Smith is a translator. And I am seen as someone who perverts the ways of the Lord. That the devil possessed me. And that I need to be murdered, punished, hurt, abused, abandoned. Because they see me as Korihor. This is the disconnect from misinformation of the church. And you mix that with idol worship, falsehoods, and you've got a recipe for murder. Like a Chad Daybell or a Brian David Mitchell. Or the Warren Jeffs. He came from Brigham Young too. So, Daniel's visionary polymaterial idol with feet of clay and sand and iron reminds me of the Roman period Jesus' injunction not to build a structure on sand. Well, it was, and it is, and it fell. Kind of like the tower, the fell of which disintegrated civilization. The tower actually is an Egyptian thing with the death of Osiris, but yeah, the mistranslation is what Christians call it as, that building a tower to get to heaven is therefore sinful and wrong. Only Bruce R. McConkie calls the tower in ether the Tower of Babel. It is never called the Tower of Babel. It's always called the Tower. And so obviously that's the one they're referring to, but it's significant that it is not called the Tower of Babel. So that would be another discussion for explanation on the Tower of Babel, with Osiris being murdered by his brother in the coffin. This is the first murder, going up to Lebanon, that's Babel. And then the Lebanon tree, cedar of Lebanon, is then produced, from which the branch symbolism prophecies come from, for Horus, who is the Christ of the Egyptians. And so they just refer to the Dej pillar, as it's called. It's the pole with the 3 lines across, which is different from the medical symbol, but nonetheless. And so it didn't destroy civilization. It was the concept of Set having murdered his brother and taking over the kingdom, and thus scar what he did to the Pride Lands. That's where they got that story from, even though they call it Sambo the lion or something like that. It may be, it's Disney, so you got to be suspect of I don't understand why Disney doesn't just move to China, because they hate America. It would be cheaper for them to move to China, and they'd be right there where everybody buys their stuff anyway, so that they don't have to ship it to China. And with the fall of America, they're going to want to go there anyway. It's just so frustrating trying to get DVDs of Disney movies and TV shows. So frustrating. But yeah, China will produce them, thanks to the internet, to be able to purchase them that way, because otherwise I would not have them. But you have to wait for customs and then a bad disc. God. So don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Alrighty, that's it. We're done. Tomorrow.